Greetings, gamers, and welcome back for another episode of the G3 podcast. We've got the dynamic duo here for episode 114. Still can't believe that we're already over 100 episodes, let alone 114. Here recording on April 13th, 2024. You got none other than your boy. Ice, ice, baby. Ice, ice, baby. Known as Ice on all things gaming and social media, out here feeling the heat in the beautiful wasteland, but we'll talk about that later. And I'm joined by none other than the illustrious MowThemDown. What is good, sir?
What's going on, brother? I don't know. I
Doing
ain't got
good,
much.
brother.
Yeah, I ain't got much. I ain't got much at the moment. Big question is: are we gonna get Pablo Schreiber or whatever on for the 117 episode for the Master Chief?
I don't know if he gives.
Who's got the
damn.
pull? Who's got the pull?
I don't know if he gives a hot damn about this show, but yeah, sure. We'll go ahead. I'll say that I'll be able to hit him up, and we'll see if he's up. That would be actually, that's wild because that would be really, really dope. I mean, if not a Halo centric episode, most definitely one where we're going ahead and we're talking to the man, the myth, the Master Cheeks himself. So
that's right.
Anyways, we're not here to talk about Halo today, though. We had all things considered, a relatively short week in gaming news, but we have some gaming adjacent stuff that we're going to go ahead and talk about in this episode. So let's just get straight into it. So first and foremost, we went ahead and we talked about it on last week's episode. Gearbox being formally acquired by Take-Two. They just put out a release saying that, hey, they are now changing their formal naming convention over to Arc Games. So they are basically still going to be a full-fledged studio, aside from, a couple of the employees that left, substantial amount of employees that left. And as far as we understand, like a lot of the Gearbox Entertainment publishing rights have been reserved by Embracer. So particularly when we're talking about titles like Remnant 2, Neverwinter, Star Trek Online. Those are all the Borderlands. It's funny that they didn't mention that in this article, as we got it from Insider Gaming. But yeah, so all of those titles should essentially stay with Gearbox Entertainment Publishing, which is under Embracer Group. So not really much else to say there. Just look forward to Arc Games. Moving right along. Speaking of games and interacting with them, so Microsoft went ahead. You've probably heard this. We're unfortunately a little late to the party on this, but Xbox has gone ahead and introduced essentially a cloud gaming interface for a lot of its forward-facing apps as a UI to go ahead and maybe do some of the load shedding, if you will, or at least that's my interpretation of this. A little bit of load shedding from having an actual no crap app installed, and it gives a pretty good appearance, console like appearance, where you can go ahead and pull over the guide and it gives you the option of party chat and things of that nature. You can also see what your achievements are looking like and everything. Tom Warren did a pretty good video on it, at least as the article that we're sourcing from The Verge here. But it's interesting, particularly because I keep forgetting constantly. It's interesting for me because I keep forgetting that I'm still in the insider ring, and I've had this interface that they're talking about for a minute now. Particularly, the biggest significant things I've seen was when using the Xbox app on PC. I'm able to go ahead and see all the little sub buttons, if you will, for Riot Games and for Bethesda and all the different like major studios that are there. So it's kind of interesting that that's just one little tidbit, at least on the PC app coming forward. I have not really messed around with the web-based UI, but this promotes an interesting idea, I think, Mo, that this is the way that they could go ahead, or at least there have been some illusions that this is the way Xbox could potentially get around some licensing type stuff, because since this interface is essentially acting as a PC face, if you will, they don't have to worry about, oh well, the licensing was written specifically for a console versus a PC. If they can just bring it under the umbrella of PC, this kind of mitigates the whole implication of violating licensing agreements if Xbox were to, I don't know, bring out maybe a mobile platform that could use this interface, and then it just ports those games over as PC lookalikes. What do you think about that?
I guess I'm not real sure about that. I mean, I thought the whole was I don't know how that would, I guess, be involved, so to speak. But I thought the idea more was, providing the same kind of experience. Like I seen Spencer recently discussing, like, yeah, like, I'm playing on this handheld and it's cool, but it just doesn't feel like Xbox or whatever. So I thought the idea was more to try and, provide that unified experience of, I log into my cloud gaming and I can access my guide and do whatever, just like I would if I was on the console. It's just an extension of the console kind of a thing. As far as like licensing for stuff like that, I'm not real sure that would work in that fashion, but that's an interesting idea. I'd have to, I guess, research exactly how that would work, but I'm not sure if that is the case. Still cool. I mean, if you hop on your browser and your cloud gaming, you probably want to be able to see your friends list or achievement list or be able to party chat or whatever. So it's good to have those features, have that functionality available for you. Really, I think it's more just trying to expand and improve upon the experience for the cloud gaming, since as I've suggested a lot, I feel like that's ultimately the big push for the future. Um, yeah, I don't know. The licensing thing is not something I'd considered, and I'm not sure about, but an interesting idea for sure.
Okay, sounds good.
Let us know in the comments. Is that legal? Is that how that works?
I mean, I'll try and find. I might leave it in the comments myself because I thought I saw something somewhere where it basically was alluding to that, as if, yeah, by building to a PC spec, because that's essentially what the cloud system is, right? It's running off a PC spec, but by taking the games that were already built to a PC spec and simply porting them to the cloud, or transposing them to the cloud, whether you're going ahead and you're doing cloud streaming on the console, cloud streaming on PC, or cloud streaming on a mobile device, it's all kind of ubiquitous in that regard. So then, yeah, that was at least what I was getting from it was, oh, okay, so that kind of makes sense then. If they say, hey, really the one license to rule them all would be the PC. Now, Xbox has made it very clear they're not going to abandon hardware in the form of consoles going forward. But yeah, I guess some more research should be done on that one to see if that is a feasibility. Let's go into this other nifty thing that happened this week, the Triple I initiative. So I never heard of this one before, but it
It's
apparently
brand
is.
new.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's
This is the
pretty new.
first one.
Let me make sure as I set this up here. So, viewers beware. I'm basically getting this ready to go on two times speed because we can. But it's basically a real quick Triple I initiative was something that was essentially devised to go ahead and allow the opportunity for showcasing a bunch of indie games. And there's a whole bunch of titles out here. I went ahead and the guys kind of humorously said, well, RIP Known as Ice, because the very first game that they introed during this thing was Slay the Spire 2. And I'm just going to, like I said, fast forward through a whole bunch of this so you guys can see quite a bit of gameplay. It's like a 45-minute something something. So it's probably worth it to go ahead and check out when you have the opportunity. And I'll go ahead and post the link in the show notes so folks have an opportunity to look it up. But it was a big promo pretty much across the board. It wasn't just PC or Steam centric. There was all kinds of games being promoted for PC, Xbox, PlayStation, even the Switch, and a couple of titles. So it was a pretty interesting showcase there. Did you get a chance to look at that, Mo?
I mean, you know, perused, I guess, if you will.
Peruse.
I didn't watch the full showcase, but I did kind of read some roundups, if you will. I saw a little bit of it, but I think it's actually very cool. I mean, the thing I thought was maybe most interesting was not the one that probably caught your attention the most, but the Rogue Prince of Persia or whatever from the Dead Cells guys, like that.
Mm-hmm.
That is intriguing. That is intriguing. But I think the coolest thing, honestly, is just the fact that this existed. You know what I mean? Like, this is a bunch of independent developers and whatever getting together to kind of showcase some of their stuff. Like, indie games have come a long way, and they're making a big push to really kind of compete with those mainstay AAA titles or whatever. And I think it's very cool that a bunch of them got together and they're like, hey, let's make a showcase. Let's get the word out there to some people. Yeah, I don't know. I think the biggest development is just that this was a thing. So yeah, I definitely recommend going and checking it out. There's all kinds of stuff on display, something that'll take your fancy, so to speak. Yeah, it's cool to see that, I guess these guys are really trying to make a big push to really act as some competition to just, the lame old, we get our big Call of Duty reveal or whatever else, hey, these guys are really trying to make some unique, interesting games and trying to get the word out there. So, yeah.
Yeah, I will say I need to do some more
Got my
research.
support.
Yeah, I need to do some more research to see if this is something that is being promoted by one of the bigger companies. Because I thought I saw something previously where it was some type of tie between this and Take Two. I don't think that would be the case because again, these are all indie titles. Um, but yeah, there were so many titles in here. It was highly impressive. I mean, just going through it really quick, it was something to the effect of over 20, probably closer to 30, if not over 30 titles here, and ones that definitely stood out to me. Of course, Slay the Spire 2. By the way, G3 Podcast is going to most likely go off the air in 2025 when that game comes out. There was a couple others in there. Never Alone 2. I was actually really interested to see that they went ahead and made a sequel to that. Bringing out the formal announcement of Vampire Survivors coming to PlayStation, as well as an expansion to Vampire Survivors, Operation Guns. Sounded, or I guess more so looked, kind of amusing. Wizard of Legends 2 caught my eye, as well as 33 Immortals. Like that one had gotten previously
That
showcased.
was, yeah, it's been
Talked
in
about.
the news for a little bit, but it does look cool.
Yeah. But yeah, so we'll go ahead and I'll remember to post a link in the show notes for that one. But
So
make sure you
I,
check that out if you guys haven't. It's a really
I
good
will say
showcase.
I'm looking up trying to see like who all is involved and whatever, and it does note that Gearbox Software and Publishing are involved. So I guess in a real weird way, right now after acquisitions and stuff, I guess two or Take Two,
Well,
whatever, 2K
that's
is kind of
that sounds
involved,
like
but
it'd
it
be
was
more Embracer then, because if it's
well,
Gearbox
well,
Publishing,
but well, true. Although Gearbox Software, whatever, who knows, whatever.
yeah,
Regardless, the main thing was that it was a bunch of independent guys got together, whatever. I don't know that there was any big publisher behind this or anything. I think it was they all got together to say, hey, let's try and make our own showcase of things or whatever. Let's
yeah,
try and drum up some pipe and whatever. So yeah, that's what I was saying. I think that's the coolest development about this is that these guys coming together to be like, hey, I mean, we're not necessarily an Xbox or a PlayStation or whatever, but we still want to get together and show off these games in a more I guess verbose way or something, whatever. But
yeah. And I find it really interesting timing too, with basically springtime. You got a whole bunch of sales going on. I think with a lot of the talk of maybe not the downfall of the industry, but how the big players need to kind of relook or take a second glance at how they're producing these games, especially AAA games, making sure that they're not over budgeting, potentially over promising as well, and making it pretty hard on the player wallet, the consumer's wallet. I think indies are going to have a pretty good opportunity here coming up for a really big resurgence in a really big way. And I mean, some of these titles, there are a lot of deck builders that were built off of the awesomeness that is Slay the Spire. So to see Slay the Spire 2 coming out, they're changing things ever so slightly, introducing a new a new character in the Necrobinder, I believe is the title. So
Something.
yeah, it's gonna be it's gonna be fun. Good time for indies. Um, it's also a
It was
good
good knowing you, bud. It was good
yeah,
knowing
yeah. See everybody later. So I mean, we're joking, but like I really
we're
do like Slay
we're
the
really
Spire.
not
It's
joking.
like
Yeah, we're laughing because it's funny, but right, exactly. Yeah,
we're laughing before the crying.
yeah.
Um, So moving right into the next piece, and this is one, of course, I realize with all of our show prep, there's an audio thing that I'm gonna have to get ready to fix after. But I wanted to say, hey, that first off, that's pretty much it for the news, guys. The news in the formal sense. Um, the rest of the show is kind of too well. I guess there's one news thing later, but I have a feeling that Mo's gonna want to discuss it more at length. But let me do a brief show here of the uh, Fallout TV series on Prime. You guys have probably seen this trailer before. This is kind of the very intro one where they showcase a lot of the visual appeal. I think we actually played this trailer on last week's episode, if memory serves. But now the show is out. It came out earlier this week. It came out with, I believe it was 8 episodes, and all of them dropped like day one, which was the contemplation point that Snipe 90 and I had. Was wondering, what's going to be next. Are they going to go ahead and are they going to put it out in week by week fashion, or are they going to do it all at once? He said he's a personal fan of the all at once. I'm not opposed to the all at once. Again, kind of fast forwarding through so you guys can see some of the visuals and whatnot. They did a really good job with the set pieces, a really good job, at least in my opinion, really good job with the set pieces, really good job trying to follow the lore that is Fallout. And they had Todd Howard around to go ahead and be an executive producer slash advisor type, and the monsters as well. All really great, whether it's CG or the like the ghoul, how they've done great work with the costuming and everything. So there's a lot of really cool stuff to look forward to in the Fallout series. Now, Mr. MowThemDown, did you get a chance to go ahead and check out the actual show at all before the
I
episode?
have finally decided to see what was what. Made it through the first 4 episodes. So I'm
Oh,
halfway through
nice.
the first season there.
Okay.
Uh, honestly, not bad. Not bad. I
That's good
don't
to hear.
like it's still one of those weird things where it's like I always question the video game adaptation, but so far so good. No idea how long it's gonna last or where they're gonna get to. Um, Whatever, whichever Nolan this was and Lisa Joy or whatever her name is, their last series that they tried to make, they weren't able to take it to completion. So we'll have to see, I guess, how this one goes. But yeah, not honestly not bad. Yeah, production value seems actually relatively high. Reliance on CG has been less than I was expecting. Frankly, there's actually a lot of like pragmatic effects. There's a lot of, like, this seems like this is Prime's like, we need like that HBO show kind of a thing or whatever. There's
Oh,
lots of
good.
gore and all kinds of stuff, and yeah, I mean not bad for real. I've
Good.
actually
That's good to
enjoyed it
hear.
so far, and this is coming from me, right? Yeah,
I
yeah, I've
know.
enjoyed it. Yeah, I've enjoyed it
Mr.
so far.
Everything Sucks.
We'll see how it goes. I will say that, yeah, insofar as the weekly versus the just dropping the show thing, like I don't know. I never know how to feel about that. I like for people to have the option of the binge watch because there's a lot of reasons why that would be of benefit. But at the same time, like, the weekly release does, allow that hype to build and allow people to
You get the
discuss what
water
they've
cooler
seen and all that.
moments.
Yeah, you know
Yeah.
what I mean. Um, Admittedly, I guess it also just depends upon the show and what you're trying to do. Like, there's some intrigue that they're trying to sprinkle in there, but it's not quite the same as like a Westworld, which was their last project, or some other things where really want to try and have people lose their minds trying to figure stuff out, what's going to happen and whatever. So I don't know. It did surprise me that they just dropped all the episodes at once, because there are other series where they are doing weekly releases, and it was just sort of interesting that they didn't do that here. It's like, okay, what is that? Do they not feel the same confidence on it or whatever? I don't know. I don't know. But so far, I'm enjoying it. I'll be curious to see how I feel, I guess, once I get through the next 4 episodes. But
Well, yeah. Hopefully,
check it out.
I know it's another one of those weekends. I did not get to watch it today, and I've got a whole bunch of, well, not a whole bunch, but quite a bit of housework and yard work again to do tomorrow. So hopefully, I'll get to catch
Feel
it here
bad.
soon before a lot of other people spoil it for me. But I mean, rocking a 73 overall score on Metacritic, and then a 6.6 user score. But as I'm looking at it, like it's kind of mixed. Like generally, as far as uh, actual media outlets are rating it, it's like 78% positive, as opposed to only 3% negative, and then there's the mix in between. But it's almost a one to three split on the users, 66% positive, 27% negative. So with Todd on the project, I imagine the negative piece is all these folks looking forward to maybe not spoilers, but getting to see a little more of Fallout than they're ready for, or that Todd and the team are ready to unveil, because
Uh,
there have been comments that basically they tried to steer clear of certain plot points or discussions because that would come out in the next Fallout
Next
game.
one, right? Yeah.
So
I I I wish that I felt like that were true, that that was the big hang up for that 26%. But for whatever reason, I feel concerned that it's just that dark side of the gamer culture. Why is it a female protagonist and yada yada, whatever, just
and I mean that
nonsense
doesn't
stuff,
even.
whatever.
You can pick a female.
Uh,
I'm pretty sure in all the Fallout
yeah, you can.
games. So it's like,
Yeah.
what's the?
Yeah, no, exactly. But
Oh, well, you're talking about one of
the
those. She's
culture is
not
the
hot
culture.
enough. Like,
Well, I mean, and that's possible too. It's just all the negatives to the culture or whatever. But admittedly, some of it may also be, and this is always my thing with like the video game adaptation, is it's always just kind of like, well, you know, what is your audience? Because if you're trying to get the gamer that has played the game and enjoys the game to watch, like, how do how do you try and adapt that experience to give them something that is as satisfying as playing the game? Because
right.
watching something's a passive experience. When you're playing, it's your story, man. You're doing the stuff, so it's always kind of like, how
You're
do you,
doing this stuff.
yeah, well, it's, but yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I honestly, regardless, I've enjoyed it so far, more
Good.
than more than I was anticipating. For real, for real.
Well, good.
It's made a much better impression than Halo on its first 4 episodes. That's for sure. So.
Well, then that. Well, okay, yeah. I mean, if we're comparing anything to Halo's first 4 episodes, like, you might as well cancel those shows. All right, cool. So that's good to hear. Hopeful that I'll have some of the same consensus when it comes to reviews for the Fallout TV series. If you guys haven't got to watch it yet, it's on Amazon Prime right now. So I would say pause this, but make sure you come back and then go check it out. All right, so our last bit of news slash discussion piece, and we'll see. Hopefully, this one won't take too long of the show. So as of this past Monday, um, legal mumbo jumbo, we'll set that all aside. Warner Brothers Discovery is basically able to start selling part or in whole to be acquired by somebody else. When they did the Warner Brothers and Discovery merger, there was basically like a timestamp or a time uh, barment from when they could do any further financials, and so that time has come and gone, and now the new leadership at Warner Brothers Discovery has basically aired that they're kind of looking to do some debt consolidation up to and including an acquisition. Now, my take on this to keep it very gaming centric, because we're talking like TV stuff, right? We could go down and say, oh, Disney, or oh, Universal, or whoever. What I would be interested of happening, because the article that we're sourcing here from Business Insider does kind of point to it ever so gently, is the folks that are involved in gaming, presumably the ones who've been listening to this show as well as other podcasts about gaming culture, remember a time a couple years ago when there was at least a hint that Warner Brothers gaming studios could be up for sale. So we're talking NetherRealm, we're talking what is it, TT Games? They make the Lego ones. We're talking NetherRealm, Rocksteady, and those could all, in their own respects, fetch a pretty good price. Now, currently, Warner Brothers Discovery hasn't. Again, there's a hint in this article. Warner Brothers Discovery hasn't said anything outright about a diehard interest in divesting those assets, because try to do debt consolidation or whatnot. But if they were really interested, especially in the economy that everybody's in right now, including the corporations, I could maybe see them leaning that direction. Now, the fortunate or unfortunate, depending how you want to look at it, nature of what this could mean is, I look at the landscape and I say, okay, who of these gaming corporations would have, whoa, would have the potential capital sitting around right now to go ahead and acquire more studios? And quite frankly, I think it's Microsoft. And not only do I think that they have that capital, right, but we saw the big rigmarole that we talked about for damn near 2 years with the ABK acquisition. This would potentially be, for anybody who wants to pursue it, this could potentially be a more under the radar type of acquisition, because they probably would not be interested, they being whoever, would probably not be interested in Warner Brothers Discovery as a whole, but rather, at least the companies we care about, would be pursuing just those developers, which I think there is a lot of talent there to be pursued. So, agnostic of whoever could possibly, purchase and make this acquisition, and potentially fly under the radar, if you will, of federal government, really dampening on this and saying, hey, you can't do this major acquisition, because again, we're talking smaller studios. Who, Mr. MowThemDown, do you think, this is almost like a little mashup we got going on here, who do you think, or who would you be interested in acquiring those studios, if anybody?
Honestly, that's a very good question. I don't know if I have a I don't have a real solid answer for that. Like in the current climate, I don't know who would necessarily take it up, so to speak. But I mean, I agree with the assessment that Microsoft would be the most likely to try. Uh, Insofar as who I would prefer to see do it, I don't know if I have a great preference for that. I think the most amusing or the funniest would be if Disney would somehow pick it up or whatever, and then be able to do like Marvel and DC stuff or whatever. Um,
Ooh.
Would die
Well, no,
Euphoria, but um,
now
yeah,
obviously we're kind of alluding that,
I prefer to see them get picked up
sorry, I was going to say, now we're obviously kind of
by.
alluding that when you talk about DC and Marvel, right, that Warner Brothers proper would be okay with allowing that licensing
Oh,
to
I guess if we're
continue,
just
right?
talking about the gaming stuff, yeah, I guess my bad. I wasn't sure how large of a scope we were talking about for acquisition. I mean, Warner itself is just in trouble, and they've been trying to figure out what to do with it for a long time. So it wouldn't shock me if they themselves were just picked up by something. But yeah, if it was just the gaming studios, yeah, I still think that would be the funniest route if they would still allow the licensing for the games to go along with that. But yeah, otherwise, I don't know. As far as who would be my ideal purchaser or whatever and acquire, then yeah, I have no idea. Especially because yeah, like I guess that would be a good question if they were getting rid of the employees and getting rid of their gaming arm. Would they get rid of the IP that goes along with that, or would they hang on to that so they could still, you know, subcontract out? Hey, this studio is making X licensed game or whatever. Uh, yeah, I don't know.
Well, let me make it even dicier for you, right? And I'm setting the playing field here. I'm not saying this is a hot take, right?
Oh, yeah.
But the the scenario is almost identical to what we saw with the ABK acquisition, right? It was ABK was going through a whole lot of legal stuff, a whole lot of allegations of misconduct on the part of the employees, or that the employees were the victims of, and to the point where the stock tanked. And it was then at that point that their leadership and Microsoft's leadership signed an agreement to say, yes, we're going to purchase it at this price. We're seeing almost the same thing happen with Warner Brothers Media, where there was a couple different properties that they put out. The stuff didn't do so well, and the stock is just on the downtrend right now, more so than what we're seeing in general with the economy.
No, yeah,
So
they've been flailing for a little bit.
yeah. So I think it's the prime snapshot of what we saw with ABK, where Microsoft could potentially want to come in and say, "Hey, we'll take some of that debt off your hands." Maybe not buying out the company at the stock price or whatnot, right? But there's obviously subsidiary financials that follow on from that. Now, I got the. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna like, yeah. So maybe if we're talking about the gaming wing, maybe the Disney thing would be. But yeah, I mean, honestly, Microsoft just outright wholesale purchasing Warner, whatever. Like
Yeah,
that
I
would maybe
don't.
be the most interesting thing.
That'd be
I don't.
wild.
It would be. I don't know that Microsoft would have any interest in that, but if they did and they just wholesale acquired all the licenses and now they've got now, I mean, it seems like with some of the adaptation stuff and whatever they want to try and get into maybe some of that film, whatever different kinds of media. Now they just purchased a whole movie production wing or whatever. Like I don't
And really, like,
know.
yeah, so looking at that too, right? What is advantage that PlayStation has? They've got big brother Sony to back them
Right.
up, so any of the adaptations
Uh,
they need or want, they've got not only a movie group but a music group right there as
right.
well, right?
Yeah.
So if Microsoft, we've heard them say, we've heard Satya Nadella, Phil Spencer, all of them all down say, they're invested in the world of gaming. This would really be that toe to toe battle in a sense. Now, am I saying Sony Pictures comparable to Warner Brothers? That's for anybody to decide on their own, right? Um, but when we talk about the licensing, I think that's where it gets super interesting. So I got the list here because I wanted to stand corrected. So TT Games, Rocksteady Studios, NetherRealm Studios, Monolith Productions, WB Games Boston, Avalanche Software, and WB Games Montreal. It says among others, and I'm going to presume, and not disrespecting them, but those others are support studios. But when you go ahead and look at those, so TT Games, they have again been behind most of the Lego. Lego's a whole separate licensing that WB doesn't own at all. Rocksteady, we're talking WB, that's DC, so that again is a whole separate licensing deal. NetherRealm Studios, that would probably
Well,
be. Go ahead.
Warner's got DC. That's how
Does
you
Warner Brothers own DC outright, or is it
That's a
just
good
a
question.
licensing?
I don't know that for sure, but I know
Yeah.
they got all their junk. That's why.
See, I'm
That's why
pretty.
you can hop onto the HBO and watch all that. Oh,
Yeah.
crap.
Uh,
Uh,
NetherRealm Studios is probably the biggest win, and I say that in the sense of Mortal Kombat is like owned packaged within NetherRealm right there.
and just think of when Mortal Instinct Killer Combat, crossover game hits Game Pass, you'd be.
Mortal Kombat X Killer Instinct, yeah.
Yeah.
Monolith Productions, right? So we haven't heard much insofar as the Wonder Woman game, again, DC property, but they previously done Lord of the Rings stuff. Well, that is now technically Embracer Group. So we're talking licensing just all over the place, right? So it presents a lot of interesting dynamics. So it's not as cut and dry. And why I'm saying this is I'm not saying that this is a slam dunk for Microsoft. It's not as cut and dry as Microsoft buys the gaming division of Warner Brothers Discovery, and all of a sudden they can now bring in all those DC titles
Well,
to
right,
basically
yeah,
go one
that's
for one, right? Like,
that would be the whole thing. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, they don't automatically
So,
get all the licenses to
yeah.
everything. So yeah, and that's kind of what I'm saying. I don't know. I guess I don't know who my ideal purchaser would be. I can think of funny scenarios, but like I'm not sure
Yeah.
who would necessarily want to scoop them up and who would even have the interest.
I mean, quite
Eh,
frankly, as and I wish Snipe 90 was here. I don't think Nintendo would do it because
yeah,
while
unlikely.
they probably have the money, it's not their interest to really own a lot of these studios outright.
Right.
PlayStation would probably love to, but seeing as how they just shut down a couple studios, I don't think they've got the capital. I'd be concerned about a NetEase or a Tencent, and so then the only, and I'll say positive contenders that I would be hopeful for would then be a Microsoft or an Amazon. Like that's really it. Like Google is, I'm not even counting them anymore as being interested in games. I think they learned their lessons with Stadia that it's a much harder business to get into than they thought. And so like who else is there? Who else is there that has the capital and is in a good financial position to potentially move on this? I think it's just really those four,
Yeah,
really.
that's possible. I don't know, but that's still yeah. My main curiosity is who would even feel the juice is worth the squeeze. I guess depending on the value for acquisition or whatever. Because
I mean, dude, we've seen some crazy
like we
stuff.
said, well, yeah, I guess it would all depend on the value and whatever.
Remember, Crystal
Yeah, you
Dynamics
don't
got acquired
necessarily
for
know.
like 300 million,
Right.
and it was. You go back a couple more years, Insomniac was like the same way with PlayStation, like 300 million. People were like, "What? That's like robbery," because those
Uh,
studios were so great, and then to go under those
well,
good
but
banners at that price point.
I guess I guess that would be the question. Also, is which studios are that acclaimed at this point. There's history there with a lot of them, but you know, look at Rocksteady's most recent deal. Like they've had a lot of
Yeah.
stumbles. So it's I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get into you know talking bad about studios, but I really think we've had a lot of cases of, let's just say, aggressive management,
Mm.
trying to go ahead and get a bottom line out of a game. And I mean, I've heard mixed reviews on the Gotham Knights. Was it Gotham Knights? Yeah, the Gotham Knights game. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, I think, left quite a bit to be desired as far as I'm told. I haven't touched either of
I don't
those
know.
yet.
The Gotham Knights thing got kind of roasted too, so far as I can recall.
Okay. Well
Uh,
then, hopeful
for
hopeful
different
nonetheless.
reasons, I believe, but it was
Yeah.
like optimization stuff and whatever else. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know.
All right. So that's pretty much it for the news discussion. Think what you will about the Warner Brothers Discovery piece. Let us know in the comments if you guys think of a different option of what should happen with those studios. Hopefully, keeping them alive and afloat, as well as all their employees. So that being said. We're getting into content corner, so we got a couple of little announcements. So for our Nintendo Switch folks, we got some interesting titles coming out. You got Wrecking Crew 98, Super R Type, Amazing Heberic, and yep. So those are going to be coming out here soon. That latest was announced, as well as let's see. Um, Kirby's Dream Land, Super Mario World, Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past, and Super Mario Brothers 3 were also included, or those have been included for a little while. So the titles that I just mentioned previously are the new additions to Nintendo Switch Online. If you are a PlayStation Plus subscriber, you can look forward to a couple titles coming out. Oh, we got some. We got some that are coming sooner than later. So we'll just go into April's. So we got Tales of Kenzera Zao. That's going to be coming to PS5 on April 23rd to the PlayStation Plus service. Dave the Diver should also be coming out on PS4 and PS5. Oddballers on PS4, Construction Simulator, PS4, PS5, The Crew 2 on PS4, Raji and Ancient Epic on PS4 and 5, Lego Ninjago movie video game on PS4. I mean, the list just goes on. What else is of significant note here? Deliver Us Mars, PS4, PS5, Lego Marvel's Avengers on PS4. This one looks unique. Miasma Chronicles on PS5, and then Stray Blade on PS5. So some of those are coming out in April, and it didn't properly identify in the PS blog. But some of these titles are going to be coming out in May as well. So just keep an eye, um, basically, when your respective service is going to go ahead and have that. And then if you are a Game Pass subscriber, we got some titles that have been spread out throughout the month. Super Hot Mind Control Delete is out now on console, cloud, and PC. Lego 2K Drive came out April 3rd on cloud and console. And again, as I'm saying, came out, this is to the Game Pass service. Lil Gator Game on April 4th, cloud, console, and PC. EA Sports PGA Tour. I wish we had Mr. Snipe 90 to tell us about that game. That came out on April 4th, cloud, console, and PC. Kona, April 9th, cloud and console only. Botany Manor came out on April 9th for cloud, PC, and console. Oh man, we just got on April 11th Shadow of the Tomb Raider Definitive Edition. We previously just had Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Now we got Definitive Edition on cloud, console, and PC. And Harold Halibut is coming out on the 16th on Game Pass on cloud, PC, and console. Let's see what else. A couple updates, I guess, that are worth noting. No Man's Sky Orbital update is out now. And then there's some perks that came out for Game Pass. If you haven't noticed, you got some. I'm just going to read them real quick because these are identified here for us. The titles that are leaving Game Pass or will be leaving on the 15th. I don't know how much you can crank down in the next day and a half or so. Amnesia Collection, Amnesia Rebirth, Back for Blood, Phantom Abyss, Research and Destroy, and Soma are all leaving the Game Pass service on the 15th. So, of those dope titles, let's see. I would ask Mr. MowThemDown what he's going to try off of any of the subscriptions, but since he only has Game Pass, what are you gonna play? Are you gonna play anything?
Well, I mean, I would love to say that I'd go and actually play through Soma because that is supposed to be a great game.
You got a day and a half.
Yeah.
Just don't.
Right. I can't say anything on the Nintendo list really caught my attention. I am a little jealous of the PS5 with the Tales of Kanzera. We talked about that previously. That looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm looking
yeah, and then actually that one that you were stumbling on, the Miasma Chronicles, that actually looks really awesome. I was just looking that up. It was funny. I was looking at a trailer and I'm like, man, this looks a lot like that Zero Eden or whatever, or Mutant. Now switching back to Mutant Year Zero Road to Eden.
Yeah.
As I'm scrolling through the list, it says from the creators of that game comes a beautifully crafted technical invention. Yeah, and I'm like, oh, well, this would be right up my alley. So jealous of those editions. Those look cool. As far as the Xbox editions, I don't know. Try dabbling something. I don't know.
All right, cool. Now moving on to so again, if you guys have those subscription services, you heard the games, get in there, play, enjoy it.
Enjoy yourself.
And while you're doing that, feel free to like and subscribe and share this podcast with a friend because we turned you on to that information. So turning a page here and looking at the past. We are going to do I need to get the audio thing for this. This will be so fun when we have it. But looking at history and gaming. So today...
Never going to give you a... Oh, sorry.
That is not what...
Oh, that's not it? Oh, okay.
No, that is not. That's what I play with some people at work just when they just... Just kind of give you that look. All right, cool. So, uh, April 13th in history. Is there anything on the list? And again, we post this the link to this list available for you guys in the show notes, so you too can check out what came out in the past that was potentially of interest to you. I'll say I'm looking at probably the furthest one back. Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past on Super Nintendo in 1992, 32 years ago. I remember playing that. I'm sure I didn't finish it because I had formed that bad habit way early. And then more closely, Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Conviction 14 years ago on Xbox 360. That was an awesome title. I enjoyed that thoroughly. As well as 9 years ago, Mortal Kombat X. I could say was probably the first. I know I'll probably get flagged or flame from our listeners for
From
this.
me, if you're about to.
I would say it was the first Mortal Kombat that really kind of moved the needle again into a higher generation of graphics. Only second, I would say we've seen that in the past with Mortal Kombat 4 when it really did more of the 3D type stuff. So that was a huge transition. Mortal Kombat X did another transition. And now, I mean, it's Mortal Kombat 1 is not too different than the animations and everything of Mortal Kombat X. Like they just keep improving on the engine, of course, but it's not it's not the same type of transition that I would say I saw in Mortal Kombat X from previous titles. Anyways, so over to you, Mr. MowThemDown. Is there anything on this list that you recall from days of yore?
Well,
Let's see what happened was.
I yeah. I would just have to second your list. You got them. Those would have also been my picks. I can't recall if I ever actually did finish A Link to the Past the whole way through. I feel like I may have, or I certainly got through a bunch of it anyway. But yeah, obviously a great title. Splinter Cell Conviction. Some division on that for reception, but I thought it was okay. Then Mortal Kombat X was an interesting reinvigoration, I guess, of the series, and had some good times getting my ass whipped by you in that. So, yeah.
Did you like in Splinter Cell Conviction the introduction of the marking mechanic? Where you could go ahead and mark. You'd like built up something. I don't remember what it was, stamina or something like that, and you
It was
multiple enemies, and then
it was
quick
just
time.
your I felt like Blacklist or whatever made a little better use of that. Like with Conviction, it felt like that was really kind of your only option, and it was massively OP, but then you just didn't really have anything else you could do. It's okay. It's a big change for the style of game that the game had been. I was actually very not enthused when they were first releasing that and everything. That announced that was how the gameplay was going to run, but it was okay. Yeah.
All right, so it was okay. You know what else
It was
is?
okay.
Still,
Still.
you know what's better than okay though? When we get on to our favorite and final section.
Mm.
Radar. You guys knew it was coming. All right, so on April 16th, we got Dave the Diver finally making it over to PS5, PS4. On April 16th, PlayStation players and Switch players can also look forward to Grounded. Shut up. You're going to love it. Don't start griping. April 16th, you got Harold Halibut on PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. Planet of Lana is coming out April 16th on PS5, 4, and Switch. That was previously Xbox only. I think it was on PC too. Rose and Camellia Collection is coming out on Switch April 16th. Reigns Beyond on Switch and PC April 17th. Final Fantasy 16, The Rising Tide. The next expansion, Evolution, is coming out on PS5 April 18th. And then No Rest for the Wicked on PC April 18th. Mr. MowThemDown. are you getting a PlayStation to play Grounded and Sea of Thieves and
Yeah,
Final
yes.
Fantasy
I,
16?
I, not Final Fantasy, but I've decided that the Xbox games are better on PlayStation. So, uh,
Hot take right here.
yeah, yeah.
You heard it
No,
here
yeah,
first.
yeah.
Plays better on
Not,
PlayStation.
none on that list,
Okay. Yeah. For me, I would love if Final Fantasy was over on Xbox. But I say that, but like I have the ability to access it. I'm just knee deep in some other stuff on PlayStation right now. Speaking of which, Mister Mow Them Down. What you been doing? What you been playing? What you been watching? And I'd say where can the people find you? But I think they know by now. That's not
really.
happening.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Gaming wise, I started to mess around with Mount and Blade Banner Lords,
Oh, the
if I
mess around.
recall. That's what those are. On the Xbox, that's I'm not sure about that one yet, but it was just something to do. I've been playing a little bit of Rocket League. I haven't really been playing a whole lot, if I'm being honest. I guess I'll need to send you my screenshots. I don't know if you download them already. I got through that stupid Metal Gear game, and that kind of just
Oh
it
yes.
broke me. Uh, yeah, a little bit of Helldivers. I don't know. I haven't really found my next thing to really dig into yet.
So yeah, we should give that out there for our viewers. Let's be clear. I didn't get the video for this episode. Mr. Mow Them Down did demonstrate some credit rolls in our private chat for Metal Gear Solid 5. I'm not sure. Initially, I wasn't sure if I believed him that he actually finished the game. But then I went ahead and I trolled on his Steam account, and I saw that he did in fact get the Steam achievement for the particular achievement for
The
finishing the
final
final
story
mission.
mission, at
Yeah.
least. Yeah.
So we'll say he completed it, and it was actually right before. I think it was literally days before the
It was
deadline, wasn't
the
it?
first, yeah, April 1st.
Yeah. So you had 5 whole days left out of
Yeah,
a 3 month window. Cutting it a little
yeah,
close there.
it was a
Oh wait,
long,
is it
hard
3 months or
journey.
2 months?
It was three. Yeah,
Yeah, 3 months. Yeah. So,
yeah.
so right now the backlog beatdown challenge for 2024 stands with known as Ice 0-1, Mow Them Down 1-0, and Snipe 90 1-0. I am seriously impressed. Like yours is sure. Like let's give credit where it's due. But Snipe finishing Assassin's Creed Valhalla in
Yeah.
wasn't that like a month?
I don't even know.
I'm pretty sure his was a month. He
He
and I
beat
had
it
the same
well
thing.
ahead of schedule. Yeah, it was
Yeah, it was
ridiculous.
like that's. I think he definitely lost some sleep on that one.
Yes.
All right, cool. So yours truly known as Ice on all things gaming social media. So what I have not been doing is watching Fallout, a TV series. Apparently, I need to get on that. What I have been doing, a lot of work stuff, working on podcasts. I'm trying. We've only had one camera. Knock on wood, only one camera hiccup so far. So I think I'm figuring out something what's going on here. Anywho, outside of that, I have been playing quite a bit of Marvel's Midnight Suns on PlayStation. It's really hitting a stride for me. I don't know if it's the card playing aspect, like it's hitting on those Slay the Spire vibes. Not really though. Let's see. Other than that, a lot of Sudoku on my phone. I know I've played other stuff. Oh, I don't remember if it was this week or last week. Mortal Kombat 11. I was getting into that quite a bit, just doing some tower stuff. And the wife and I, oh, wow, yeah, I should probably talk about that. I did not remember that after the wife and I had finished Overcooked and Overcooked All You Can Eat Edition on PlayStation, that I wanted to do her a solid and I bought Overcooked 2 on Xbox. And I have been trying, like the crack fiend that she is, I have tried to slowly drip feed her a little bit of Overcooked without that taking over my life entirely. So
Uh,
we're back playing that Overcooked 2 action. And if you haven't played it yet, fun game, especially co-op game. I find it interesting because both she and I have acknowledged it seems like achieving the high score in each level seems easier than it did in the first game. I don't know if that was like some takeaway notes that they took from the first, but anyways, that's what I've been up to, and maybe I'll get to finally. Oh, and I forgot. Ah, damn it! See, I knocked on wood, and there goes the camera again. Second time in almost an hour. That sounds okay though. Of course, I forgot the other thing that I have been playing is Ark Survival Ascended. I had to jump in there, and today I played for maybe an hour, and I got super frustrated because I got to this one little river, and I was like, I'm gonna go for the purple drop, and then out of what seemed like nowhere, like 8 raptors ganged up on me, and I lost pretty much all my crap. So I'm gonna try and find some way to recoup and go get it as long as it's still there because it's quite a bit of stuff that I lost. I was really upset. So, and then when I went back, I died again, died again, died again, died again. So that's a whole other thing that I'm gonna try not to talk about Ark, but that's gonna be the next Slay the Spire talk probably. So anywho, game looks really good though. Like it looks really good in Unreal 5. So I haven't done the first person view yet. Wait.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm still all in third person as I think about it. Yeah. First person. Oh man, now the camera's going wonky like crazy. All right, it's time to shut down the show. You're talking too much about the dinosaurs. Shut up about the dinosaurs. All right, cool, got it. Anyways, guys, remember like, subscribe, share with a friend. Your favorite game podcast channel. We like to go ahead and talk about all the things, game news, reviews, and culture, and get back to playing. Remember, gaming's greatest generation is the one you guys are a part of. See you next week.